Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back! We're back. It's Heroes Untapped, but 2.0. We have returned for a, let's call it another season, hey? Another season of amazing banter in the ANZ region, where we talk about the goings-on, the happenings of Heroes of the Storm, focusing on the best region. Let's face it, focusing on the best region out there. So joining me on tonight's show, joining me for the first episode, we have a GL Phoenix, analyst and caster for HGC Australia and GameStar. And this weekend, I believe you're actually casting, and is it a North American tournament?
It's a North American tournament, yeah. It is, oh God, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. The Forecasting Open, it is a North American one, which is actually going to be very interesting. So looking forward to that one. But yeah, it's great to be here. It's looking forward to an interesting evening.
Definitely.
Some great ANZ discussions.
Definitely. I'm sure there's going to be some great conversation later on. Also on the show, we've got two great guests. We've got Blank Hots, I guess you could say semi-competitive player and streamer here in the Heroes of the Storm Down Under. And we've also representing not only the competitive teams in the region, manager for Darksided, but he's also our representation from across the ocean, over the waves. It's Darksided Morton from the NZ. Morton, good sir, how you going?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's been a while. Good to do another podcast, so we'll see how it goes.
It's been a while. I think it's been like 18 months since we last did one of these crazy things. It's been a long...
Yeah. Heck, you know, we're watching some of the old YouTube videos a few weeks ago and just laughing at like all the people that have been and gone, so that was good fun.
It's kind of a bit strange, like, and it's I know, Blank, we haven't asked much about what you're doing, but let's get straight into our first discussion piece. Where are we at? The state of the game. It's been such a long time since we talked about this. It's been 18 months since we got together as a group and chatted online. So, Heroes of the Storm, Blank, is it?
Yep.
Have we gotten better?
I don't know, Disco. Well, with the release of... Well, we've got we're doing Untapped 2.0 now. We watched the launch of the Heroes of the Storm 2.0, which I think was much improved over the previous version of Heroes, the original version of Heroes, if you mind. I think the game has improved. The layout of the screens, the ability to see your players' health pools, and their heroics and stuff like that as well with their timers. That's a much better layout for the screens. In terms of the gameplay with our region, it's just a matter of we're still a small region. It's not going to change. ANZ best region, right? Nobody's toxic.
So we're going to agree? Are we going to all agree just that Heroes is a better game now than it was at launch? That's something we can all agree with.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can agree with that. Yeah.
So, but we get back to this. Is it better in Australia, more New Zealand, the ANZ region more than? Is it better in our region?
I mean, I think the population had maybe a bit of a spike at the start of HOTS 2.0.
Yeah.
Which of course is like a big help for like ANZ HOTS for queues and matchmaking. I don't know. I think the competitive side as well to ANZ has grown a lot as well, which is always a positive because it kind of gets more people competing at the top end of Hero League as well as outside of Hero League, playing in tournaments. So yeah, I think it's definitely grown, but I think it's still got a bit more room to go before it's kind of getting up there. So
come on, GL, give us to us, true and hard. Everyone's dancing around it. No one wants to say it. Can you say it?
ANZ is still just as a unit just boosted. Well, we've still got the small region problems. It's the player base is still not. It's not a very sustainable ecosystem that we have when it comes to the competitive side of things. I mean, we just have this very top-heavy style. Like the only like we're only got like a few new names coming in from season to season. The newest one who has really made a big splash for himself has been Ryu, coming in over the past couple of seasons. But even then, he has already made a name for himself in other games. So it's still not like we're getting new players to the esports scene here in ANZ. It's just transitioning from one game to another. So.
But that's still good. That's still good though. Like it's the fact that we do have even though it's a small influx, we have a small flux of already competitive players coming to Heroes of the Storm, and obviously sticking around. You know, he was in season 2. You know, he was playing on. Rue was playing on. Was he playing on Dark Side
Trump
back then?
Sports.
No, Trump Sports. That's right.
Trump Sports.
But the fact that and we saw back in season 3, like the season 3 qualifiers and finals, that a good player, but mechanically was missing a few of the main things with the mainstay of the game. You know, you could see him getting caught out. You know, how many times during I think it was Nomia and Darksided, he just got caught out of position and just very, handed to him. But as a segue, who is he playing for now, Gio? Whose team has he gone to now?
He's with Nomia, so he's with the big boys now. Yeah, he was like putting in the time. He was just honing his craft. But we saw last season, as you mentioned, he was getting caught out. He was still new to the competitive side of things, and it showed in the way he played last season. But he's had much more time to time with the game, with some of these higher ranking teams, and now he's part of one of, if not the highest ranking team in Nomia. He's with that very stable environment where he can learn a hell of a lot from these very experienced players, and he's only going to get better from here on out.
Yeah, and that's the interesting point here. So, just to quickly cap off our last conversation. So, HOTS, it's overall better. The esports is better, but HOTS in our region is still establishing itself. It's still just on the player base. We still have the long wait queue times. We still have all that, but it's getting better.
Just to touch on that, Disco, I think something we were talking about before we went live was going to mention how much more competitive it is in that top end. We do have a few solid teams now that are performing, that are making it more competitive. And with the roster changes that we've had with like Darksided and what we call them Numia, that's added another level of equalization to the competition. So those top 4 teams are a lot more closely matched, and we'll see that with the Gamester tournament at the moment. But yeah, I think that there is still a bit more work to do. Just ANZ as a region, we're just not competitive enough.
I think one of my favorite things this season so far has been whereas basically the last 2 years it's been people only cared about the top probably 4 teams, but with the new GameStar Blizzard format that they're doing for HGC, it's actually I was watching the stream yesterday. I think it had like 90 viewers, and that wasn't including the top 4 teams.
Yeah,
I was getting hype watching. I forget the team names. It was like Tenner's team versus I can't remember a team, but it was like intense games between teams I wouldn't really normally like want to watch, but the format kind of really does highlight that middle kind of group as well now. So that's pretty exciting.
It gives them something to advance towards. And I guess just
speaking, we even had a tiebreaker game last night. Made it. There was like a lot more on the line because we had to have that tiebreaker. Like, yeah, it's a Swiss format and it's a rather limited. We get limited data points, so we kind of needed a tiebreaker. But just by having that one extra game, there was a lot on the line. And also, Drumshot's team, Onyx Esports, you kind of want to root for them just from just seeing them just come in week after week, and they're not necessarily getting the results, but they're starting to get there. We're starting to see improvement as we go on throughout the year, and they were so close to making it to that top 8, but it was just a little bit unfortunate that they weren't able to get it on the day. But it's very promising to see.
It is, and it adds a lot more. It just adds a lot more, like Moran said, a lot more games to like really watch and start getting behind more teams. You know.
Yeah.
No, I think the GameStar events for this season are really great. They're actually really good. It's a lot of fun. But before we talk about it, because I do want to talk about more about the GameStar and the GameStar results for this season, we've already brought up roster changes, so let's just quickly talk about it. So Nomia, or Numia as they're being called now, recently had 2 massive roster changes. One of the original founding members, Robodoba, has actually left Nomia and actually joined Darkside Morton, so we can talk more about that in a little bit.
Yep.
But also Arcana has made the huge statement, the huge move. He's going to the EU. So they've lost. So Nomia have lost 2 massive players from their team. However, I think in their place, I think it was picking up Ryu. We were just talking about Ryu before. Picking up Ryu, mechanically strong, competitive player, still learning all the elements of the game. I think that's a great pickup for him, and I think he is going to strive and dominate in that environment. Being able to access. Nothing against was it Trump Sports from last season, but the international experience is definitely there for Nomia. So that pickup of Ryu is just really massive. And who was the other guy that picked up? Penta.
It was Penta.
That's it. I mean, if you were talking about a replacement for Robodoba, I don't know what roles they're filling in because I haven't been able to catch the games from this week 100%. But the fact that Penta is he the replacement for Robodoba? Is he actually playing tank?
I don't know what role he's playing.
I believe he was playing the main tank role. So yeah.
Well, traditionally, Penta's always been a main, front line tank. I would say, outside of Robodoba, that Penta is the next best tank ANZ. Yeah, that might be stretching. I'm sure Morton.
That's a bold statement.
I'm sure you've got some disagreements on there, a particular bias towards the team, but he's definitely one of the support of the tank. Well, Penta's been a tank for a long time. Sashin, I've always found Sashin to be. He's changed a lot now, but he's always. I always found Sashin's always looking for that kill. Like he's always looking to get that cheeky slap and tickle in on someone. Where I find Penta's a little bit more grounded or a little bit solid in his approach. So I think that's a really good pickup there for Nomia as well. I don't know. Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on the Numia as the infection term is called?
I think it's pretty cool to see Penta in a top team because he has always been one of the best tanks in ANZ, but he's never really played in a top team. And usually if his team has done well, it's really kind of because of him. So yeah, it's good to see him succeed, I guess. So,
and it's kind of also in a similar position with Ryu, where you have all of these very experienced players with international experience that you can learn from and get even better as the season goes on. So, yeah, we could see them get even better, just have a little bit more time to work together as a team and just improve in that regard. But already we're seeing the results be pretty good so far, managing to take that first week, and going to be a very interesting season for them.
Well, we've seen one game night so far with them. Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna reserve my right to judge until we've seen a bit more. They played really well.
Pretty solid though. They
played really well.
They dominated their series. First series 1-0, second series 2-0, and then up against Darkside was a 2-0 again. I mean, considering a season ago, it was only like a couple of weeks ago. Thanks, Blizzard, by the way, for the break between the seasons. Good job.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, Darkside were pushing them to their limits, and now Nomia have crawled themselves back onto the top, but by a thread. They've got 2 hands. Darkside have 1.
Yeah. Don't forget that we have had changes to Darksided as well, so they've had to work with those roster changes, maybe affecting their cohesion as well. They haven't had that many games in the tournament so far, so again, I think it's still pretty tight. I reckon after a couple of weeks, we'll see that balance out a bit more. I think the teams will be pretty even by the end of the tournament, but I suppose we'll wait to see. I've got one fun fact that Ben's brought up. He actually weighs more than Rob and Arcana put together. Fun fact.
Fair enough. Fun fact indeed.
Well,
kill the chat. Kill the chat.
That over to the
what a fact. That, mind you, Arcana and Robodoba look like they could spend some of their prize money on a burger or two. I have to admit.
Yes.
I mean, at least Robodoba proved he could grow a beard, right?
Yep.
Well, speaking of Robodoba, big news. That's kind of wasn't a surprise to anyone because it's already happened. It's been out for. I mean, everyone knew before it happened when it happened. Robodoba's actually gone to Darkside. Darkside's actually dropping Vicarak to pick up Robodoba. We will not be discussing the circumvent of the Twitter conversation. I think everyone can agree that it was handled poorly, but regardless of that, I mean, all other factors and all other conditions still apply, don't they? The fact of the matter is that when you're on a professional team, you're a contracted player, you've got to be seen to be performing on the team, or you'll be, replacements will occur. Again, how it was handled, I think everyone can agree it was poorly done, but that's besides the point. Let's talk about Robodoba. He's the big change here. And we can talk about where Vicarak's gone.
One thing I do want to mention that's really interesting is that on that first day of games from Darksided, Robodoba was playing melee DPS. We saw him on the Malthael a couple of times, and we're used to seeing him as the main tank, which is it is going to take a little bit of time to adjust, I think. And so even though Darkside did end up losing that series against Nomia 2-0, as we get further into this season, as you're saying, Blank, it's still too early to tell. We still have a lot of time to work with and try and build all these synergies. And that's going to be one of them that Darkside are going to have to learn to work with, is Robodoba in a different role. So even though he's a very capable player, has a lot of experience behind his belt, he's primarily been a tank player for well over a year, and now he's transitioning over to something different. It's going to take a bit of getting used to.
A bit of teething.
Yeah. A lot of the heroes as well for solo lanes, Rob's kind of already played quite a bit in the the past as well. So yeah, basically our main decision for doing that was because we wanted to kind of keep our main four kind of together, and then adding Rob in the solo lane's not really gonna change up too much.
And it seemed that way with the way that Darksider was playing around it, just almost leaving Robo on an island, let him just use his experience to dominate that area of the map, and let that four already having their synergy work with that. So basically as soon as Rob was back from what was it, Ukraine, he's been grinding all the solo lane heroes out, trying to adjust. So no, it's been a pretty smooth transition as well, so we just kind of need to sort out the whole team in general for the upcoming weeks. So we'll see how that goes.
I'd say, speaking to Robodoba, he seems like one of the cruisiest guys in the entire...
Yeah, he's very chill,
I imagine, so Nomi, they lost Robodoba, they lost Arcana. I always think to myself, like, well, even though they're both kind of quiet, it's like, they are just two different ends of a spectrum there.
Yeah.
But, so that's the big Darkside change. I think we should highlight the... I just want to actually also talk about, it's not really a roster change, but... Vicarak
NMD had a couple of changes as well.
And did they pick up Vicarak? Yeah.
Yeah, Vicarak is now on NMD, and that was the game between NMD and Darksided on Tuesday. That first one was a bit of a nail biter at the end there. So, lucky to kind of come back with that one. But I really think Darksided really did not want to lose that series, or even that first game. They did not want to lose to Vicarak.
Well, you could imagine a little bit of the animosity of the situation. So,
B steps will be had.
But I think that kind of stuff is sometimes good for the for teams. So teams should get passionate about each other. You can play HOTS very methodically or very surgically, and I feel like those are some of the boringest games. Games where there's a bit of passion behind it. Why did that person do that? Oh, he did that cheeky little slap just to remind someone he's there.
Because there's bad blood and they really want to just rub it in.
And that's the story.
I suppose jumping back to where we started with the state of the game, that kind of does, I don't know whether it helps or hinders, but because we are such a small region, a lot of our players, especially the top tier players, we all know each other. They all know each other. So it's not it's not too much bad blood. There's a bit of beef, suppose, between some players. But
Yep.
for the
Bit of
most
beef.
part, a bit of beef.
Fucking entire cow, mate. An
Well,
entire cow.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a
as
few
long as we're
cows.
not discussing Muffin Man, Explicit, Crow,
Usual
Willy,
suspects.
then let's just move on from there. Speaking of new things in the game, though, Disco, what do you think of the new hero Garrosh?
Oh, Gaza or Gary. I don't know. I don't care what you want to call him. I call him Gary. He is
Gary.
so fun to play. Like whoever designer was for Garrosh. I'll go a step back. I hate that this character is called Garrosh. I think Blizzard dropped the ball on the whole Garrosh versus fantasy. Did we just lose blank? We lost blank. I'm sure he'll come back.
I'm back.
I think the fantasy wise, this doesn't feel like Garrosh to me. That's right. He doesn't feel like Garrosh to me. But remove Garrosh. That's why I call him Gary to disassociate the Garrosh part. Remove Garrosh from this kit. Is I think one of the most fun kits Blizzard has ever put into the game. I just think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think it takes some getting used to. I think I've played one game with him, and it was just before the last week's Swiss tournament. I was filling in for Team DC, and we just had one quick match game beforehand, and I decided, let's just give Garrosh a try. And I regretted that decision immensely. I had no bloody clue what I was doing. I'm trying to work out, okay, so I have to aim where I'm throwing someone, it automatically selects them. I've seen some pretty
I
massive
think
plays,
that's the
though.
one thing that's going to take a bit of getting used to for a lot of players is you have to position yourself so there's a little the icon is above the right target that you want to throw. That's the majority of the skill cap.
He's reverse Diablo. That's what I call him. He's reverse Diablo.
Reverse Diablo.
Yeah, because Diablo, you charge at someone and then you click them to throw them over. Garrosh, you click. You click where they are to pull them to you. You then click where you want to throw them to. He's literally reverse Diablo.
Yeah. I've seen some pretty massive plays, though. Sorry to interrupt, GL, with like throwing an ETC that's already started his mosh pit into an enemy team. Malfurion to pop his Twilight Dream, throw them into an enemy team.
Using the throw allies.
Some pretty massive, because you can take your throw allies and throw your team.
And it's not a troll move. It's actually got some really big play ramifications. Like,
what do you mean? It's not a troll to throw your avatar into?
Well, I mean, there's that situation, but I'm saying, like, if you had a Malfurion with Twilight Dream, you could throw that into the middle of the group, and he can Twilight Dream them. Like, there's actually some, like, huge play potential. It's not like Blizz, like, the designer was like, let's see you escape the towers now, fuckers. When they designed ally throw or throw ally. No, I don't think his kit's really good. Actually, do you guys... Well, we know Blank's had one game, so he's probably not an expert. But GL and Morton, how many games have you sort of played of Gary?
I think I played 2.
0.
So I'm actually the most experienced.
You are the
Gary
most
player.
experienced Garrosh player here.
We are going to have to bow to your knowledge of Garrosh in this moment only.
I've actually got a weird thing, and I'm sure everyone will chat, which is like, Disco, you're full of shit, please stop talking. But I feel that as the game progresses, he actually he starts to get weaker. It's a weird play because his early game is so strong, right? His ability to set up a gank and your team get a kill. As the game progresses to a team fight situation where it becomes harder to target out your to get the person you want to throw, and lines are formed, everyone's roaming as teams, I feel he starts to get a bit weaker because his kit, it's harder to make those big plays. I mean, they're there, and when they happen, end game enders. But I feel he kind of gets, maybe not weaker, but he gets harder to perform that kind of role. I don't know.
That makes sense, because usually sometimes you have heroes with really strong just base kits, and they tend to dominate early game because without all of the really strong talents once they get later into the game, they can still excel. Just thinking of like Tyrande back in the day, she was really good in the early game because she just had really good base kit. But as soon as you got to level 10 and beyond, heroics came online. We're getting into the very dirty, scrappy team fighting kind of situations where she doesn't necessarily have the best situation. So it does make sense what you're talking about, where Garrosh, really strong kit in setting up a lot of early ganks, and just abusing heroicless, and-
Abusing players.
exactly, essentially. So it makes a lot of sense that could be an eventuality where as we get later into the game, he still has those playmaking potentials, but because, as you mentioned, we're getting to team fights, it gets a little bit messy when it comes to the targeting of the throwing around and all that. He can start to lose a bit of his edge.
This is true.
All right,
I've got a question. I've got a question quickly
Yeah.
before about your Garrosh. Not yours in particular, but Garrosh as a hero. We've all seen the patch notes. We all know his trait. It's that the lower his health is, the more armor he gets. Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fucking shit. But anyway.
So the question I have is, we've got magic armor, we've got physical armor, and apparently there is a general armor as well.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does is his general armor, or is his specifically
I
physical?
think it's his general armor.
It's general armor. The only trouble with him is that it sounds cool, right, man? For every 1 HP loss, it's like half an armor, so or percentage. So if he gets to like, oh man, he could have 50% armor. You get
Like,
50.
yeah, but you're missing all that life.
You
It's
get
just for
50% armor when you have like 1 fucking HP. It's
No,
and
not happy at all.
I've seen situations where you can obviously there's the double up, or I can't remember the talent, but you can pop it to make it to double your armor. That's kind of good.
Yeah, that's a
But
cool.
outside of that situation, I feel he still takes quite a beating, and it only takes one hero that negates armor, and all of a sudden that huge bonus from Garrosh is gone. Which obviously, because it's built into his character, it's a factor of his overall health pool. So it's like, it's really hard to tie a value down to it. I don't think it's good enough. I think he needs more health to really make it effective.
He had a lot of fun against level 20 Cassia, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Jesus, all this armor, just none of that, mate.
No, I don't think it's good. But mind you, I've seen a lot of videos as well where Gary walks away. Uther walks
With
away.
one
No,
HP,
it's fucking now Gary walking away.
I mean, not to mention that what was it? He's got you've got all those heroes. No, not just body check. You've got those heroes like Greybane with his cursed bullet, and you've got
the percentage just damage in general.
the percentage damage in general that ignores armor completely.
Malthael,
Those
Tychus,
will just destroy exactly. So those kind of heroes will always counter a Garrosh. It's just my real question right now is, what is your favorite ultimate, your heroic, your level 20 talent, level 10 talent? Sorry.
I am really finding the decimate. Is it decimate?
Spinny roundy
The
thingy?
spinny round. Yeah, I think.
The spinny roundy axe, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm really finding that one. I find that because you're sort of like throwing people behind you, like you're trying to set up these really nice situations. The AOE taunt, I find the target I want to taunt, I've
You've
never
already
really
thrown them.
Yeah, like
You've thrown them away.
Yeah, like it's. I don't think it's big enough to really pull the team in. So you're only ever taunting 1 or 2 people anyway. And if the enemy team's hugging, they've got bigger troubles from your little AOE taunt. They've got the rest of your team should be dominating them anyway if they're just hugging in groups and stuff. So yeah, I don't really like the AOE taunt, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I guess the cooldowns on Decimate does also make it quite appealing. Just getting that
It's
little bit
got
of
3
extra damage
charges,
that
doesn't it?
slows.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got all those charges, and the cooldown is not too long, so you can just keep spinning around for days, and it stacks up after a while.
So final thoughts. Final thoughts on Gary. We could talk all night about new heroes. Final
We could.
thoughts. Blank. We'll start with Blank. Blank. Final thoughts.
Well, as you know, we're all of us. We're all 100% going on your opinion here, based on your experience.
Amazing opinion, by the way. Great
Amazing
insight.
opinion. I think that he has potential in the professional scene, in the more competitive scene. I think he's still relatively new, so it'd be good to see how he plays. I've seen some really good Garroshes in Hero League. I've seen some really utterly trash Garroshes in Hero League. I think he's a fun hero. I would totally, if I was playing Garrosh in ranked, I would just troll the fuck out of my team. Pardon my language. I would be throwing them into the enemy bases just for fun.
Yeah.
That's me.
Love it. All right, Morden.
My overall thoughts of Garrosh, I'm not a fan of all of his abilities. He seems like they put in quite a bit of effort to his Q and E, and then his W just seems like really half-assed. just the buff to an auto attack. Like and it felt, I don't know, when I played it felt really clunky. And his passive is like, I don't know. There were there was a passive like that in League which they removed like years ago, which no one was ever a fan of. So, but I think he will be played in competitive. I'm not sure if he'd be a solo tank though, because he doesn't really have that reliable engage. He's pretty similar to Stitches, where it's like you have to land a hook to kind of make a good pick.
Yeah.
And then other than that, you're not really able to do that much. So I think we will see him probably paired with a bruiser or possibly even another tank. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And GL.
Yeah, excited. But I just want to see him much more. I think he has a lot of potential, but yeah, I think we've made clear some of the problems we have with him and his kit.
Was he allowed in the Games of Tournament?
That'll be,
week?
I think, next week.
Next week will be the first time he can actually be played in competitive events.
Okay, cool.
Hero ruling. And my final thoughts. I think he's a fun hero. I don't think we'll see him competitive play in his current state. I think he, he's very similar to Diablo. Diablo can stun everyone on the enemy team with Apocalypse. What can Gary do? If he's in right position, he can do a very small AoE taunt. He's got too low a health. He's too much of a risk at end game to get blown up. And let's face it, Malfuel and Tychus, they still exist. They're still in the game. Greymane's still in the game. Leorix there is like a really background niche pick if you're desperate. I think there's just too many things that can punish his low health pool and lack of the fact his armor is useless until he's already half dead. So let's move on. That was Garrosh, or Mr. Gary, or what you want to call him. And let's talk about, we've mentioned GameStar a few times, but let's talk a little bit more closely about GameStar. We say GameStar, but what we really mean is the HGC Season 4 League, Competitive League, Division 1, Division 2 happening in the region. And the official first week for Division 1 has played off between Nomiya, Mad Because Bad, Crimson Esports, Ethereal Esports, Darksided, Pocket Me Lighter, NMD, and Ground Zero. God, there's so many teams now. I liked it back before when we just had like 2 teams to talk about. Now we have to talk about 8. Shit.
It's been a while since we just had like about 6 teams total for the region.
That's it. And they actually all look pretty good as well. This 8 here looks like a decent, if someone told me this was the top 8, yeah.
And there are even teams outside of that 8, like Milkshake, they're a pretty good team that unfortunately didn't make it into that top 8. So it's tough out there.
Yeah, it's.
Well, and that seemed the cool thing. Like, we'll talk about Division 2 in a second, because talking about the teams like Milkshake, Ground Zero, that was in the playoffs. Obviously, they didn't make it. So the final results for everyone. I should probably do up some sort of fancy graphic for this. Hey, there we go. I did it in the wrong window.
All in all, Nomiya took first seed over Darksided, and then the seeds 3 and 4 are NMD and Crimson. So yeah, not too much changes in that regard.
Yeah, I'm not sure if each week they're gonna mix up like 1, 2, and 3 and 4 seeds, or if every week is gonna be if it's the same results.
If it's going to be the exact same thing, yeah,
like for 4 weeks. I'm not sure what will happen with that. That's assuming that the results stay the same. So we'll have to see.
Well, that's highly based on the results staying the same. So if Darksided start taking it to Nomiya in, say, next week's thing, then they'll end up seed 1 the following.
Versing Crimson. Yeah, because I don't think NMD and Crimson can actually ever verse each other.
Or unless one of them makes 1 or 2.
Yeah, unless they both like beat Nomiya and Darksided. So.
What an amazing week of Division 1 would that be? No,
that would be pretty intense.
I'd be pretty depressed. More
depressed.
Maybe Nomiya could lose, but not Darksided.
Yeah.
Darksided have to stay number 1. Yeah.
I don't mind versing Crimson in the upper bracket final. Honestly, they can win if they want.
That's nice of you.
so that's our top 4 going next week. Obviously, Nomiya, Crimson Esports, Darksided, and NMD top 4. We know Nomi. We already talked about him. We already talked about Darksided. Let's talk about this. I would almost say out of nowhere, Crimson
NMD.
Esports lineup and NMD. Like I think both. Like obviously NMD is a little bit out of nowhere, but it's got big names. They got Physics, La Hole, Hiccup, Vikarak, Ninja, and The Shadow. I think I get a bit of a broken record saying this all the time, but this is experience. This is vintage wine here. We saw these teams back when they were just like seedlings, baby fruit, and they've now grown up to apples, and they've now fermented into a fine wine.
NMD came in like late last season. They came in essentially at the last chance qualifier. Managed to get in through that. Sure, they only end up with 4th place in the finals, but they, for the most part, stuck together, and we've seen them stick around and still put up some pretty good performances.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a combination between the old NMD and then a couple members from Trump Sports as well.
Yeah.
So
And they also
kind of
picked up
slid into
Vic.
that 3rd position.
Yeah.
Giving a pretty solid showing, and I mean that's just a great, like it's just a really good team to watch out for.
So where did Crimson come from?
That's
a good question.
I mean, not to overshadow NMD, but I kind of like I knew each one of these players. We've seen them almost every season. I think one will drop out for a season, do something, come back. La Hole, he's been a negative synergy. He's been on a negative synergy boy. I'm trying to think of some of the other teams he's been on. He's just been in fucking everything. I don't know. It's like a leech, but a nice leech. So you run him around. I don't know. That's a terrible analogy, but he's just always been there.
Well, we know a few of their names.
Crimson Esports. I thought these guys left. I thought all these players left to go play
Disappeared.
to go play Overwatch. That seems to be the trend for Heroes of the Storm.
Or PUBG.
Yeah, well, we got Moon Druid, Otivian, Leica, Jesme, and Azura. Now, is that Azura from Salty Dogs, or is that a different Azura?
Yeah, it is.
It actually is.
He didn't play for like maybe 2 years,
Yeah.
year and a half, and he came back and he's still popping off. So
Yeah, he's still amazing. Like this list is literally out of nowhere, and they're just performing.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere.
They
And
did.
yeah,
They did a
the,
boot camp. They did a boot camp as well. I mean, this is
Yeah,
Impressive
they
stuff.
took the one-day tournament. It was
yeah.
they came out of nowhere, took that against Darkseid in the final. I mean, sure, you could argue that Darkseid should have won that, but an unfortunate boss call on Braxis kind of made sure that Crimson ended up winning.
Are we not talking about that one?
No.
I wasn't here to watch it, so I just came up to hear that they got
Yeah,
destroyed
it never
by
happened.
That's probably a good
team.
thing. That was
Did you watch the VOD?
I watched one and didn't really want to watch anymore. So
Did you guys go over replays or anything like that with them?
Moops,
Yeah, we've
Moops
been over
watches
a
it
few
every
weeks.
night. He watches it every night
Moops
before
is-
bed. Never
You
again.
mean on the
Tough
back of his
times.
eyes, he dreams about it, gets nightmares about it.
yeah. Yeah, so
Possible.
with that Crimson team, they are led by Altivian, who's like he's competed. I'm pretty sure every single season, but he's kind of always been on the brink of that top 4 or
Yeah.
just in that
Yeah.
4th place. But like, there's no questioning his passion. Like, he's always really driven to like improve. So, and he's like taking
Yeah.
a team of, because I think Leica, this might be his first proper team, but he has been playing HOTS for quite a while. Moon Druid's kind of been floating around, playing every now and then. Jesmez, I think, is new to competing. I'm not 100% sure. And picking up Azure as well, coming out of retirement. So
Out of retirement.
yeah,
I
For
think
each
I've-
sports in ANZ.
I have to actually Altivian. I think I've got a interview I did with him at RF LAN.
oh yeah,
Ages
yeah, I
ago.
I
remember.
think I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll link it so you guys can go check out my YouTube channel and give me a sub.
subscribe,
Give me-
follow,
Oh,
Subscribe, follow.
sneaky plug.
yeah, whatever you
That's
do on
right.
YouTube these days.
But I mean, yeah, I remember being at RF LAN. So this is massive LAN party. Everyone's me having a good time in Perth, 800 people, and talking to Altivian. He's like, "Oh, Altivian, you gonna join in the tournament later?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I might. I got a scrim." It's like, what?
Yeah.
I got a scrim. I think he was playing on a team with Sashin actually at the time. I can't remember who it was, but It's like he's dragged his computer down to a giant LAN event, and he's like, "No, I still gotta do my hot scrims."
Yeah,
Just talking about his passion, he is always keen. I'm trying to remember what iteration of whatever Sashin's team was back at the time.
I don't remember that team. It might have been a thing. Can't remember, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he has competed basically every single season.
Yeah.
So
It was a
It
fourth
drives
placer
the-
team. It wasn't very good.
He's one of those names that has stuck around, and
Yep,
we're
yep.
starting to see it really pay off now with this team, which is putting up some pretty good performances.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's like it's passion. You can see there's a drive. There's a passion and drive. And actually, I would say that for all the top 4 teams at the moment, everyone is really passionate about playing. You know, a lot of people rejected coming on the show tonight. Shock, horror, I know. They rejected coming on the show tonight because they're all scrimming. They're all scrimming their hearts out to try and prove their position. And we still know if we're doing a top 2 or a top 4 for season 4 at the moment. We still don't know
Yeah.
what environment we're
when it
working
comes to
in.
the final.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean it's 100% will be top 2 definitely, but you know what? Maybe if you can get into the top 4, there's a chance you could do it. But anyway, that's division. That was Division 1 from the HPC season 4. Let's look at Division 2. And speaking about teams like Milkshake in Division 2 that are always exciting to watch, they just come so far. They placed top 4 this week.
Yep.
Yeah, they managed to get third place, or at least tied for second.
Yeah.
The only game they lost was to Mad Because Bad. And I'm pretty sure we had that one on stream. That was a pretty good match as well.
Yeah. Mad Because Bad are looking pretty good as well. That's the team with Tanner and Co. I can't remember the rest of their names, but they actually played really well. But from the game I watched anyway.
Chicky
So
Dog, Pain Dog, Helium, Jester.
yeah.
Yeah, they've looked really good, and
Yeah, and that's another team that has competed in a lot of seasons, but has kind of always been on the brink of success. Probably they're a lot closer now than they were maybe a few seasons ago. So it's good to kind of see teams like that, like sticking together and just kind of pushing through the issues, not worrying too much about results, just looking at improving. And yeah, it's like really is paying off.
Is that about Milkshake?
Huh?
Was that about
that's
Milkshake?
that's about Mad Because Bad. I'm not sure about Milkshake. I think.
we met at Bunnings. Is that what they used to be?
Yeah. We
that's
met
what they
Bunnings.
used to be.
They
Mad
did
Because
really
Bad.
well last season.
Yeah.
I was
They
impressed
got
with the way
close.
they've progressed.
Yeah.
They've advanced back into the top 8 for next week's Division 1. But I mean, we've got 2 new contenders actually for the top next week as well in Division 1. We saw 2 teams actually drop or not play this week, which opened up a spot for Milkshake, one of the teams, and then FTD, which is Yarn, Holy Grail, Keen. Fuck it.
The kebab
Yeah,
shop.
when we saw that team list, we're all just like, "Oh, geez, isn't that's an interesting list of names."
It is just it's a team of exceptional individuals.
Yeah.
All of them. They are.
Why
I'm
did they-
not even joking when I say that.
Does anyone know why they call themselves FTD? I thought they were
Um,
actually going to go in as the kebab shop boys or something. The kebab shop.
Yeah, I wonder what that actually stands for.
Holy, you're in a chat there, aren't you? You wanna enlighten us,
You
buddy?
wanna-
What does FTD stand for? I don't want to.
I know what it
Presume.
sounds like when you say it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but I don't want to presume live on stream.
It's probably the, I don't know, South American transit line.
Not like another sort of pipeline
Yeah,
in
some sort
Alaska.
of where it's cold and they have bags.
Yep.
But yeah, like that team, like they just turned up and put on a really good showing. They went 3-1. The only, just like with Milkshake, the only game they lost was to Mad Because Bad. So
Was let's say the top seed of the night, so you know it's not a bad results for the lads. And Ground Zero's the probably in the top. You would say just results. Ground Zero's the one with the worst result table at the moment, 2-2, but sneaking in. Yeah, just
Well, they
sneaking
won
in
the decider, didn't they?
Yeah,
they Against
had
Onyx,
a
who
tiebreaker at the end against Onyx.
because of the blotch holes shines.
Buckholes.
the big holes.
The bookholes. the buttholes.
Yeah,
Amazing score name. They could have.
and to be honest,
Yeah.
we were were waiting for a single match to finish, and it was between Roles Unspecified and Capital. If Roles Unspecified had won that, because of the way the whole book roll system and the tiebreaker system worked, Onyx would have went through. But because Capital won it, both of those teams, Ground Zero and Onyx, ended up on equal score, equal tiebreaker, equal book roll, equal everything, so they had to play that tiebreaker. So it was just a little bit unfortunate that Capital won, so Onyx had to play a tiebreaker against Ground Zero. It's really weird the way that ended up working out, but what can you do, I guess?
Ground Zero?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Who is on
Oh,
Ground
who's
Zero?
on Ground Zero?
Ground Zero is Scripps, Superstition, Bob Cow, Dubs,
Scripps and Spix or whatever it was. Scripps and
Scrubs from last season.
Scripps and Scrubs. That's it. From last season.
Yeah, I know all those players. Yeah, I think also there was Touch Me's team, Ethereal. They weren't able to. Yeah, they weren't able to play this week as well. Who were probably I'd probably say 5th seed team at the moment.
Well,
Possibly
neither were
4th.
Pocket Me Lighter, who went through to the last playoff as well. So
that's what I was saying. Those two teams have dropped, providing an opportunity for 2 more teams to go in. So it'll be an interesting top 8 next week.
Oh,
Look, we're almost we're almost out of time because I don't want the show to go for more than an hour. Almost out of time. There's a couple more things we could talk about. We could talk about something that's passionate. Maybe it's better as a video.
Let's not do it. Let's not do it.
Not talk about, or let's open it up. Open it up to the panel. Everything we talked about so far has been all the ramblings of Disconcur on a spreadsheet. Is there anything that you guys want to talk about? We'll open up the floor first to... we started blank with the discussion on whatever topic 1 was. GL, what else? Do you have anything you want to bring up this week from the world of HOTS?
To be honest, I don't really have much to say, just in general, but I'm just happy that I get to cast it every week. It's been a lot of fun.
Can you give us some?
I'm just happy to be. I'm just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. Just want to thank my mom.
Exactly.
Gio, can you give us a bit of feedback on the Gamester tournament that's been going so far? How do you see it progressing over the rest of this season? Do you see the?
I got a better question for you, GL.
Okay, go.
Honest truth. Do we even bother running a couple more weeks, or have we already found our top 4 this season?
It's looking pretty locked in, but I can see potential for some of these other teams to maybe knock out Crimson or even NMD if they start to slip.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see how NMD and Crimson game would go, because I'm not sure who would actually win between those two. I think it'd be very tight between them. So.
That's what we're going to do next week. We'll get Crimson. We'll get Crimson and NMD on for a scrim after the show.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Live scrim. We're going to do that. We'll do that next week. Me and you, GL. We'll cast that next week. I'll organise it.
Sure. He's like,
like all the other things that I said we'd organise the cast, just just like those. No, we'll do that. We'll do that next week. We'll do it for you, Morton. We'll do it for you next week.
Yeah, okay.
I know they haven't said yes or not yet, but we'll do it. They'll say yes.
we'll make
Just send them the clip. Send them the Twitch clip as an invite.
That's it. You're coming on the show. Congratulations, you're on Heroes Untapped, the cast thing. I don't know.
When he gets a shout out on Twitter.
When it gets forever immortalized on Heroes Untapped 2.0. GL is there. We'll move on. Morton. Anything from the scene? Anything riding your ass that you want to talk about?
I personally wouldn't really say anything's riding my ass. I do have some notes here though.
I'm sure there's some conversations ANZ chat where people talk about.
Yeah. There's just some notes here about sponsorship in the ANZ region. Just in general, I think it's very good if you can find a good org. I know that there are some small orgs kind of trying to talking to teams and whatnot. There are also dodgy orgs talking to some teams, which kind of have to iron out. But I think just in general, orgs are really good as long as they're not dodgy and they're not giving you like a crappy offer. Like there are a lot of orgs that they just automatically offer like 20% prize pool goes to them, and
Yeah.
they pay for your flights everywhere, but that doesn't really
Help us
suit
with
HOTS
lands and
teams.
stuff, that's right.
Yeah, so you have to kind of look for orgs that want to accommodate for the team's needs, and then I don't think teams should be scared of orgs unless they've like heard bad things. Even if it's like really minimal benefits, just like I don't know, maybe. God, I can't
Team
think of anything off the top of my head.
As-
Team jerseys or something, just
headsets.
jerseys.
I mean,
Yeah.
as someone like myself that is an org owner, obviously own masterminds. Let me try and
Looking
sell
for
my
a team to
here.
sponsor?
Well, I am, but it's so I do so much in Heroes of the Storm, right? It's like, do I add another horse to flog right onto my list of things I do for HOTS? I'd love a team though, but I think there's also a bit with organizations about personal branding as well. Is that if you join an org and the org wants you get on social media, we'd love some content out of you once a month, whatever that's your contract, you figure that out. All of a sudden you develop a personal brand. You're no longer just Disco, the random player guy who kind of makes each season. All of a sudden, that's Disco. He made that cool thing. He plays for this team. He likes kittens because there was an interview once with him. All of a sudden, you've got this personal branding now that you carry with that for the rest of your life. You can take it from org to org to org and propel your career. So even if an org, I'm not saying don't go join shit orgs. There's shit ones out there, guys. You know them. If something feels shit, if something feels wrong, it's probably bad. It's probably wrong. But sometimes joining an org that's just paying for your headset that you would have used your prize money for anyway. Yeah, at least now you're a part of it, and you're getting the personal branding, you're getting the exposure, and you're getting a cool fucking jersey, right? With a big giant top hat and a monocle and like a little
Top hat and a monocle.
That's the master. Oh my god, that's the Masterminds logo, Black.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think one of my personal favorite benefits of playing with an org is just the just the support from players from other games that play under Darksided. Like they just cheer you on, even though they might not have any idea what's going on in the games. They just cheer you on. Or we even play like lots of different, like we play HOTS, we play PUBG with people from different, like the fighting games people and the
that's
upper
one thing that I've
management
really
and all that.
loved about seeing Darksided in the scene is just the intermingling of HOTS and like the HOTS players with the rest of the org. It's just really fun to see that.
Yeah, really. Like I know it sounds cheesy, but it kind of really is like a family. Like, and then we have like a Discord, and there's just always just banter between like I guess people you've never even spoken to.
Join an org.
Yeah, Pyro Zero X. Shout out to him.
join an org today and get friends.
Get the top quality bands.
Yeah.
If you can't get friends in real life, just join an org.
Beautiful.
It's been really awesome ever since we've joined.
It's been a good experience.
Yeah, I can't vouch for every org, but just from my experience, it's been a lot better than I kind of originally expected. So that's good.
Well, that's a question, Morton. How have you guys coped with the roster changes and stuff? I don't want to bring up certain situations.
Yeah.
But with orgs, obviously the team members sign a contract. They've got obligation to perform. They've got this obligation for a set amount of time. If that's broken, is that going to cause issues with what you've seen with the roster changes and stuff like that? What have you noticed?
I think, well, in terms of roster changes, all it really comes down to is like what the majority of the team wants, if that makes sense. So if someone's having issues, then like I don't know, I don't want to talk about contract stuff, but if someone's having issues and it's like the team's just not working with it, then obviously the org's going to side with the majority, I guess. So the org didn't really have too much to do with stuff. It was basically all the team. But yeah, I don't want to say too much.
No, that's fine. Obviously, you don't.
That's a tough one. I can talk about that.
Please do.
We had an experience, and in Masterminds, we've gone through heaps of teams now, right? So there's no way you ever figure out which one it is. But we had an experience with a team where we went through a couple of players, and after a while, the team just wasn't getting better. It's like, well, what's the go? We keep making all these changes. So it actually turns, what you sometimes think is the problem in a roster, it's actually something else completely different. It's a different member, a different attitude, or a different feeling, or a different thing. So orgs, as an organization, you kind of you will always listen to the team and try and side with the majority because you don't know the game, right? You don't know the players, you don't know the game, so you can't always make those ingenious calls. And I think it's really important that teams have coaches. You've got to have a coach or even a manager more than that you can talk to and say, look, what's going on, and then that person gives you the information. Go, look, this guy's unhappy because this guy did this, but he's the main crux of the team. If he's not performing, everyone else is going to be weaker, sort of thing. So, it's always a tough place for an organization to when it comes to replacing players. How do you do it?
Yeah.
Who's actually at fault? I mean, this isn't the talk about the org bashing or this isn't the org bashing or the org stroking show.
No org bashing, not at all. But with that, Nomia, for example, they aren't sponsored. I'm not wrong there, am I? They aren't sponsored. They're their own team. They have been offered sponsorship by several organisations, I've been told, but most of the time they just don't meet the requirements that the team as a whole wants for what they want to do.
Yep.
Do you find that them having no org, but still the popularity and let's go with success overseas that they have had, that frees them up a little bit more? That doesn't tie them into these roster changes, like with Arcana leaving and with Rob leaving?
I think I don't think orgs really kind of weigh you down. So say if they were playing under an org, let's just say they were playing under an org, and then Rob wanted to leave, Arcana wanted to leave. I don't think there's any org in host that would like force them to keep playing, if that makes sense. So roster changes like that aren't really going to be like hold them back or anything. And then if you are playing under an org, you're going overseas. It's like you're helping out the org because you're obviously giving them like Twitter impressions and basically pushing the name out there on a world stage, which is really big for OC sports. And then the org at that point needs to be kind of giving back to the players if it's materialistic stuff, even salaries. But
Heroes of the Storm is a weird one. It's just kind of like it's a weird esports because you get the top tier team in ANZ region gets to compete internationally at the big Heroes of the Storm event. If we just look at Blizzard games, if you play World of Warcraft, if you play Hearthstone, if you play StarCraft, you have to fight through another region's event to get placement at, say, BlizzCon, or even whatever the international event is for Blizzard. You play Heroes of the Storm, you've just got to be the best ANZ team, and you get to go to BlizzCon. That is huge.
Which up until recently hasn't been hard, has it? There's just not enough competition.
This is the first super competitive season.
What we've been talking about.
Yeah. And that's a weird one. And I always feel for Nomia, or for that contingent, that core that's kind of been the top, is that they have inflated worth. Yes, they are worth everything they asked for, but at the end of the day, you're still playing Heroes of the Storm in Australia.
Yeah.
As bad as that sounds. And that's reality, is that they are worth it, but that could, pick up the best ANZ team that gets wrecked at international events.
Well, I mean, it's something that Ben's touched on, and the other boys have touched on in interviews internationally as well, is that Australia, New Zealand, our region just hasn't been competitive enough to give them the essentially the training and practice they need to be able to compete with these teams from EU and NA and bloody Asians.
Up until now, let's say up until now, this is a dawning of a new season 4, and it's a new opportunities, and I think this is going to be our strongest season yet.
I agree.
But it's I think we're done. It's time. Stop the reel. We're no longer. No, guys, look, that's it. I think it's a great Heroes
I'm not
Untapped.
racist. Sorry, I'm not racist.
I'm not racist. What?
No, I just saw
Use
Penta pull up in there because I said the black because they've
The
got
eastern
the fastest,
regions.
they've got
Yeah.
the fastest internet. They've got the best network. They play a lot harder than we do. But we don't have that luxury. We've got the beautiful Telstra NBN, right, guys? That's our internet.
In New Zealand, it's not too bad, so.
Oh, shut up, Morton.
Well,
Everyone
you
has got fiber.
went through the problems that we're going through now.
What? Crap internet?
Yeah, like you guys installed a shit version and then you realized how bad it was and you replaced it with a better one. We're doing
Yeah.
we instead of looking at you guys who are next door to us, or literally the neighbor. You know, the neighbor that says, "Hey, don't do that. It's shit." We just gone, "Fuck you, neighbor."
Yeah.
And doing it anyway, and then complaining. Oh,
Yeah.
why is this shit?
Why didn't anyone tell us this was bad? No, they didn't even do that.
Yeah,
they were
well
like,
played, Australia.
they don't say
Yeah,
it's shit. Like, no, it's great. It's great. You're all. We don't know what you're talking about. It's fucking beautiful network.
Turns out half our politicians aren't even citizens.
Yeah. Turns out they're from they're from the New
Some
Zealand.
of them are from New Zealand. A few of them are
A row
British.
from a vote.
Politics podcast all the time, boys.
All right. Anyway, guys, that's it. There's Heroes Untapped 2.0 for the first week. For the first episode for season 4. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Hope you had fun, and we will see you all next time. Let's go. Done. See you later.
See you guys.